Hi everyone, welcome to the Pipeline Pioneers, a SalesIntel show where our focus is to learn from the experts, from the practitioners, and from the leaders in the go-to-market space as to how to generate the most optimal pipeline for your business. As we know, revenue pipeline is the heart and blood of any organization, and generating pipeline, we at SalesIntel believe that is a team sport. It's not just a responsibility of BDR or the marketing team or the AEs. It truly takes a village to build a pipeline. Today, I am excited to have Adam J join us. Adam, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Yes, thank you. Adam, to kick things off, why don't you tell the community about you, your business, and how in your role do you help influence the pipeline or generate the pipeline for your business?
I'd love to. So I am the co-founder and CEO of a company called Revenue Reimagined. I hate the word agency, but we're a go-to-market agency. We call ourselves your go-to-market special ops team, helping everything from late seed through Series C founders and revenue leaders build scalable and repeatable go-to-market engines. And it's interesting the way we generate pipeline, right? Because we have to generate pipeline for ourselves, but we also are helping our clients build pipeline, which is probably just as, if not more important than generating revenue for ourselves. And what I realized is the old way of generating pipeline, which is going to your data tool, putting in some ICP information, downloading X number of tens of thousands of contacts, and just dropping them in the sequence, doesn't work anymore. Yet there's so many people who are still doing it that way. And then the flip side, going out and building a highly curated list from some guy on the internet who tells you he could sell you a list for a couple $1,000s that's going to be less than your Seamless or whoever subscription, doesn't work because there's no data validation whatsoever. So times are different, and we have to change the way that we're building pipeline, both for ourselves and for clients.
Right. No, makes sense. Makes sense. Just pure outbound spray and pray is not going to work in 2024. So, Adam, last year was hard for lots of companies, right? Many companies didn't hit their revenue targets. When you peel the onion, pipeline was not there. Sales cycles were longer. Macroeconomic headwinds were very, very real. And we all learned a lot. What is one thing that you learned from your mistakes last year, and what's a learning here that you can share with the community?
Yeah, I think so. Last year, I was still in a full-time CRO role. And the biggest thing that I learned when working with my revenue leaders and directors is having them call their miss. So we typically, will often talk about, how much pipeline do we have? And we're good. Don't worry, we're going to close our deals. But if revenue leaders don't truly know the back of napkin math to really know what their pipeline coverage needs to be and ensure that they're going out there and getting it, that I think is what caused a lot of the misses in the boardroom in 2023. I think there was this assumption of, we'll close the deal, we'll just increase our close rates, we'll do last minute discounts. The problem you have is you didn't have enough pipeline. And I've said this for years and years and years, and I still believe it. I used to have it as a post-it on my desk. A big, fat, healthy pipeline solves 99% of your problems.
That's right. Pipeline solves most of the problems. I agree with you.
Almost everything.
Yeah. Yes. Just like revenue, revenue solves problem, and the precursor to revenue is your pipeline. And if you don't have pipeline, you have zero chance of hitting your numbers.
Correct. But what people aren't doing is figuring out how much pipeline they need. The generation of revenue leaders now, in my opinion, it is this, we just need to go get pipeline. You just need more. Exactly how much do you need? What is your close rate? What is your average contract value? What is your time to close? And you have to work the math backwards to figure, listen, if you're winning 20% of deals, it's not rocket science. You need 5x pipeline. If you're winning 50% of deals, you need 2x pipeline. When you're talking to a revenue leader and there's no chance of hitting their number, but they're sitting there telling you, oh, we'll hit it, don't worry. If you have a 20% close rate, but you only have 3x pipeline, guess what? There is no physical possible way you are going to hit your number, no matter what.
I couldn't agree more with you. One thing that was different last year, and in addition to everything that you just said, the close cycle The time it took for a qualified opportunity to close was getting
Much longer.
longer as we went from Q2 to Q3 to Q4, right? So for revenue leaders, it
100%.
was like a two-dimensional problem that they were trying to solve at the same time. So couldn't agree more with you. Having your finger on the pulse on all the key metric is super important. So new year, new budgets, new initiatives. What is one thing that you are most excited about in 2024 when it comes to pipeline generation?
I'm going to give an answer that's going to seem like a cop out, but I'm going to explain it. And the answer is AI, but not in the sense of like, oh, AI is going to fix everything. I truly believe that using AI properly is going to allow revenue producing roles, such as BDRs or AEs, to focus on really building pipeline in the right way. And that is through personalization, through tell me more, through really uncovering needs and making your message highly relevant. Because what AI is going to be able to do is take all of that information that we typically spend time building these lists of who we're going to go after. And based on who we sell to, what we sell, how long the deal cycle is, what our value proposition is, what our origin story is, AI is going to be able to help us use tools like SalesIntel to get the right list, because it all starts with the right list, no matter what anyone says. If you're reaching out to people that you shouldn't be reaching out to, it doesn't matter how good your message is. So we're going to start with the right list, and revenue professionals are going to get back to doing the things that they love to do, which is talk to clients, reach out to clients with highly curated, albeit slightly automated messages, and not spend all that time building lists of the wrong people.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more that ICP, like it is mind-boggling when I talk to the go-to-market leaders where they just don't get that right, right? Think of your resources as your bullets, right? If you don't have your target defined, you're just shooting in the dark, right?
100%, but it happens every single day. And I think it's this, we were just talking with a founder the other day. What's the difference between your total addressable market and your total relevant market? Is your ICP right? And then let's take it one layer deeper. Is your messaging varied for your buyer persona? Reaching out to you is very different than reaching out to a VP of sales. The same message doesn't work. If you're not talking about the problems that are relevant to the person you're trying to solve, to the person whose problem you're trying to solve, you are not going to build quality pipeline.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. Now, have you seen any AI tool when it comes to customizing the messaging that is working at production level? Or most of them are still POCs?
So I've seen, excuse me, great AI custom bots that can help build lists. Have I seen anything that really works at scale for messaging? I'm going to upset a lot of people here, but I haven't. They still all start with, I hope this finds you well, or because you're the CRO at, even when you prompt it not to. There's some tools that are getting better. There's nothing out there that I would be comfortable putting on autopilot and letting it run without a lot of heavy manual checking.
I'm with you. Yeah. So AI is in its very, very early stages when it comes to go-to-market stack. Yep. So I think
100%. It's great for certain repetitive tasks. I would never use it for messaging.
Yeah. I think we are on the same page. All right. So we're going to switch the gears here. As we know, pipeline is generated through many channels, right? There's no one channel that's going to give you 100% of your pipeline, right? So in this exercise, you have 100 pennies on the left. Each coin is worth 10 pennies. And you have all these channels, right? And your goal is to distribute these pennies across these channels in a way to generate the most optimal pipeline that ultimately converts into revenue for your business, right? So how would you distribute these pennies?
I feel like this is going to wind up with a slide with a lot of people and how they do it, and we're going to see who's right at the end of the year. So the term go to network. So would that go under community or would that go under other? So
we have a community here defined.
Let's go 3 pennies in community.
All right, let's go 3 pennies in community. 30 pennies in this case, right? So 3 coins.
Yeah, 30 pennies in community.
Yeah.
Let's throw 10 pennies into event.
Okay, 10 into events. I would have thought you will do more on events, but
nope. Let's go 2 pennies into customer.
2 pennies into customers, like Many GTM leaders forget, how important the current customers are to generate the pipeline.
I almost put more in customer versus community, but if you're not leveraging your customers, it's a huge miss. Let's go a penny in sales, a penny in marketing, a penny in partnerships, or 10 pennies, excuse me.
Yep. 10 pennies.
And the last 10 pennies have to go in product, because if you're not constantly evolving your product to meet your customers' needs, you're going to get left behind for the next best thing that comes out.
Makes sense. Adam, yours is very well diversified, right? You have focus on the community and customers where you put 30 cents and then 20 cents respectively. And then you have distributed across 5 different channels, the remaining 50%. What's your thesis? Do you always guide your clients to diversify their portfolio or diversify their investment?
I think you have to. I think until you know what really works for your business, because again, this is an exercise without context. I don't know what company it is. I'm looking at a broad scale. We have to diversify and really understand what works, and we don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. I obviously put the most in community and go to network. And I think that's how the economic climate and how sales is changing. People buy from people they know. There is not one tool in my tech stack that I didn't reach out to people in my network first. And what do you think of this? What are you paying? How do you like it? So I think we're seeing a big trend shift there, but you have to diversify. If you're not looking at everywhere where you could bring in revenue, you're possibly missing the boat. I think the most important thing that I would change in this exercise or do in this exercise is next quarter, we're going to revisit it and we're going to move some pennies around. And then the following quarter, we're going to do the same. This isn't set for a year. Yep. This is what I'm doing now.
Yeah, makes sense. So perfect transition to the next slide here. This is the average of all the go-to-market leaders who have come on this show as well as have responded to our surveys, right? This is how they have decided to make the bets. Let's overlay your data.
Interesting. Look at sales led.
So I just overlaid your data. So orange is Adam and the community is in the blue. When you look at this chart, when you look at this comparison, is there something surprises you?
There's a couple things. Number one, I think it's interesting that even with everything that we're seeing, people are doubling and tripling down on sales led. And don't get me wrong, sales is important, but that community led is so low to me. And maybe it's because people are thinking community in the traditional sense of, oh, I'm going to go start a Slack group. That's not community. And I'm disappointed that customer-led is so low for everyone else. I think the lack of emphasis on your existing customers and the value they can provide to your organization shocks me.
And it is changing. This is lots of data from last year going into this year. And one of the reports that we will be publishing is, by end of this 100 go-to-market leaders that I'm talking to, we'll compile these things and show the transition. So definitely seeing the transition towards the partnerships and the community and the customer level. Adam, thank you so much for joining us. Your insights are very, very valuable for the community, and I'm sure our listeners or folks are going to get a few nuggets that they can implement in their business. So thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure.